Hello children, welcome to the social science lessons for class 10. Today we are with the lesson federalism and the heading how is federalism practiced. In the previous classes we have already seen the formation of linguistic states and the language policy. Today we will be discussing about the heading center-state relations. So let's see what it is.
Center-state relations. Restructuring the center-state relations is one more way in which federalism has been strengthened in practice. How the constitutional arrangements for sharing power work in reality depends to a large extent on how ruling parties and leaders follow these arrangements. For a long time, the same party ruled both at the center and in most of the states. This meant that the state governments did not exercise their rights as autonomous federal units. As and when the ruling party at the state level was different, the parties that ruled at the center tried to undermine the power of the states. In those days, the central government would often misuse the constitution to dismiss the state governments that were controlled by rival parties. This undermined the spirit of federalism. Okay, let's see what it is. So, here we have seen restructuring the center state relation is one more way in which federalism has been strengthened in practice. So the center state relations have been restructured. So that is how the federalism in India is strengthened in one way. And which were the other two ways which we have already seen? One is the formation of linguistic state. Then the other one it was the language policy which is practiced in India. Right? So for the smooth functioning of a federal system, there should not be any chance of tyranny in the system, right? Then there must be a balanced relation between the center and the state in exercising power to strengthen federalism. Here we will see this part as two segments of political situations in India. So that is before 1990 and after 1990. Okay, so first of all we will see before 1990. So that is what I have read now. Till 1990, after almost all elections, most of the states and the center had the same political party in rule or in power. So whatever decisions were made at the center was favoring those states which had the same party in power. All other states which had rival means the opposition parties were totally neglected or ignored. And another thing is that under Article 356 of the Constitution, the central government had a power to dismiss any state government in an arbitrary manner. So, the central government or the ruling party at the center, they misused this provision of the Indian Constitution to suspend or to dismiss the state governments. What they have done is they suspended the state governments formed by the rival parties. They suspended or dismissed the state governments which were formed by the opposition parties, and this undermined the spirit of federalism in our country, India. Got it? This is a cartoon from your textbook. The state plead for more powers. What does this shows? Here you can see one side the state governments standing in queues begging powers from the central government, which is standing aside and which is mighty, and the state governments are with bowls, right? And they are begging power from the central government. Okay, so this was the situation before 1990. But the situation changed after 1990. All this changed significantly after 1990. This spirit saw the rise of regional political parties in many states of the country. So after 1990, we can see the emergence of many regional political parties in many states of the country, India. This was also the beginning of the era of coalition governments at the center. What is coalition government? When no major political party gain a clear majority after an election, some parties come together and form an alliance to form a government. And such governments are called coalition government. And here you can see at the bottom, so there is a definition given in your textbook itself. Coalition government, a government formed by the coming together of at least two political parties, usually partners in a coalition, form a political alliance and adopt a common program. Okay. Then, since no single party got a clear majority in Lok Sabha, the major national parties had to enter into an alliance with many parties, including several regional parties, to form a government at the center. This led to a new culture of power sharing and respect for the autonomy of state governments. Okay, so here everything changed, right? So after 1990. So after 1990, the national parties were unable to grab a clear majority. Now, it became mandatory for the national parties to support and respect the regional or state parties. Why? Because to form a coalition government, the national parties needed allies, and which are the state or regional parties. Again, another cartoon from your textbook, Perils of Running a Coalition Government. So, the disadvantages or the problems of running a coalition government. You can see, so the ruling party can sustain in power only if the support of ally parties are there. You can see how that man in power is sitting with the support of all other ally parties. So that is represented by different symbols. You can see two leaves, bicycle, then two flowers. So those things you can see, right? Then the party in power must see the interest of all the ally parties to all the supporting parties too. The MPs from the ally parties should be given positions in the ministry. There must be a seat in the ministry. There must be some seats for the in the ministry for the MPs of the ally parties. One more significant event happens after 1990. So we will see what it is. This trend was supported by a major judgment of the Supreme Court that made it difficult for the central government to dismiss state governments in an arbitrary manner. So Supreme Court has made a judgment on 1994 March 11 which state no more under Article 356 the central government can dismiss the state government in an arbitrary manner. Okay, earlier such a kind of provision was there. So the central governments were misusing it. The state governments which were formed by the rival parties were dismissed under Article 356. So, on this day, May 11, 1994, the Supreme Court announced, or it said, so it should not be done again. And the man behind this particular judgment was S.R. Bommai, and he was one of the previous minister of Karnataka. And thus the federal power sharing is more effective today than it was in the early years after the constitution came into force. So now the federal power sharing became more effective after 1990.
Hope you all understood the need for a healthy and a balanced central-state relation, or otherwise the power sharing among the center and the state governments for strengthening the practice of federalism. Thank you.